And welcome to the Stutzman channel, and my name is Terry. In this video we're going to be covering adding and subtracting signed numbers. This will relate to the next video that's going to follow this one, of where we're using engineering notation, multiplying and dividing numbers, and we're going to be using signed numbers in addition and subtraction. And so I thought it might be a good idea to release this video so that everybody can be on board about how to do that. So let's start off small. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add two positive numbers together. Let's say I took the number 8 and 4 and I added them together, and as you can see, I'm going to get 12. Now keep in mind that there is an understood positive sign in front of each one of these numbers, but we don't write that down, okay? And let's say now that we're going to add two negative numbers together. And in this case, I'm going to say -8. I'm going to add a -4. And what do I do in a case like this? Well, I just add the numbers together and I just bring that sign down, which is negative. So in this case, it's going to be -12. So that's going to bring us up to our first rule. When we're adding numbers, and if the numbers have the same sign, you just add the numbers together and just bring that sign down. If it's two positives, then you're going to get a positive answer. If you have two negative numbers, you're going to get a negative answer. Okay? So that was pretty easy. Now, let's see what happens if we have two numbers. One is positive, one is negative. We'll use the same example we have here, 8 and 4. So let's make one of them -8 plus, and I'm going to add 4. So as you can see, I have a negative sign in my 8 and I got a positive 4 over here, and I'm adding them together. So what do you do in a case like that? You take the numbers and subtract them. Then you look at the number that has the largest number and you're going to put that sign in your final answer. So we subtract 8 and 4, we get 4. What is our largest number? Physically, the magnitude is 8. We look at the sign, it's negative. So that is going to be -4. All right, let's take the numbers and let's flip them. Let's see what that'll do for us. So I'm going to make it a -4. And then I'm going to add an 8. Again, the signs are different. So I'm just going to subtract. I get 4. But now, 8 is my larger number. It has a positive sign, therefore it's going to be +4. Let's look at subtracting sign integers. Well, believe it or not, you don't have to learn any new rules, because you're going to be still adding them. So you're thinking, how are we going to do that? Okay, well, we're going to do the same method that computers use. Believe it or not, computers can only add. They cannot subtract. They cannot multiply, and they cannot divide. Even the largest, biggest computers in the world can only add. And what they do is they use what's called the 2's complement. So they'll take a number, and they will say a positive number, and they call it negation. And through what they call 2's complement, we will make a negative number. And I'll give you some examples as we go along. So let's say, for example, let's start out simple. Let's say I take the number 5 and I'm going to subtract, and of course you know that this number is positive. So I am subtracting two positive numbers. Okay? Now, how can we add this and be exactly the same thing? Well, here's what a computer does. It can't do this directly, so what it does is it's going to take and it's going to say, well, it's going to put the 5 down. Now it's going to take that subtraction symbol and it's going to make it add. Now it's going to take this 2 and it's going to negate it into a 2's complement. So basically, if it's positive, we're going to make it negative. If it's negative, we're going to make it positive. So we're just going to flip it. So now we have -2. Well, look. We go right back to our same rules that we use for addition. Right here. When we have two unlike signs, we just subtract, take the sign of the larger number, and there's our answer. So here we got 5 added, Subtract, we got 3, and what do we have? Positive, because 5 is positive, it's the larger number. So there's an answer. But of course, you didn't need to go through all of that. You could just look at 5 minus 2 is 3. But it might get a little bit more helpful as we get down and looking at some other numbers here. Okay, let's say we had the number, I don't know, let's say 3 minus 4. Well, you probably already maybe know what that is, okay? And we know that's minus 1. Okay, but let's look at it as addition problem. We take the 3, we just write it down. We just write the first number down. We take our subtraction symbol, let's flip it because we're going to add it. So now we put an add. Now we take a 4, which is positive, now we're going to make it negative. And now look what we got. Now we have an addition problem. We got a positive sign, we got a negative sign. We come over here, we look at rule number 2, and we subtract, and then we put the sign with the bigger number. Well, let's see, 3, 4, that's 1. Which has my bigger sign? Oh, well, there it is, 4. Negative. So the answer is negative 1. So you see, you still get the same answer. All right, let's look at another example. Let's say we had 10 minus a minus 3. Okay, what would that be? Well, okay, let's look at it as an addition problem. We bring down our 10. We take and change our subtraction symbol to an addition. Whatever this is over here, this is a negative 3, so we're going to make it a positive 3. Now you can see we got 2 positive numbers. That takes us back up to rule number 1. So we just add and bring down a sign. So it's just going to be 13. So 10 minus minus 3 is the same thing as 10 plus 3. Okay? And this is how a computer does it. It always does it by adding. Like I said, it can't subtract, multiply, or divide. It does everything through addition. Here's another example. Let's say we had 10, minus 3. So what would that be? Well, we take the minus 10, we bring it down, we change this to positive, we change the 3 to minus 3. Now you can see that we have a minus and a minus. Well, we add those together, right? The signs are alike. Carries us back up to rule number 1. So now we're going to get minus 13. Okay, I got a few examples here. Let's just run through them quickly. I think you probably got the idea of how to do this now. We got 3 plus 4. Positive numbers. Add them together. Answer is 7. 5 minus 7. What's the answer? Minus 2. If you're a little confused with that, to get us back to our rules, treat your subtraction as an addition. Write the first number down, take the subtraction, turn it to a positive. Take your positive 7, make it a negative 7. If you have to, write it out so you can see it. Now you can see that we're adding a positive number to a negative number, so we subtract and we take the sign of the larger number, in this case minus 2. 5 minus 3, simple, 2. 5 minus a minus 3, okay? You can turn it and go back into the addition problem. But here I'm going to show you a little shortcut. If you ever see 2 negative signs together in the middle like this right here, just make it positive. So, let me show you an example. You always write your first number down. I see 2 negative symbols together. Therefore, I'm going to make that a positive. And then bring down whatever the number is. If it's negative 3, just make it a 3. Forget about the sign that's in there, because we took the 2 negatives, we put them together, we made a positive. So just bring the magnitude of the number, the second number, down. Don't worry about what sign it is because we already took care of it. Kind of a shortcut. Now all we got to do is say 5 plus 3, see, is 8. If you want to see it in the addition, write it down. 5 minus, put it plus. Okay, we're going to add. Swap the minus 3, make it positive. And as you can see, 5 plus 3, we got 2 positives. Well, we add them together, take the sign. What do we get? We get 8. Okay, look at this one here. Let's use the shortcut. 2 negative symbols. All right, so we're going to put a minus 5 down. Next one. What's it going to be? Just make it positive. Just bring the 3 down. Now you see we automatically went into the addition problem a little bit quicker. So now we subtract. We get 2. Take the sign of the number that's bigger, we see is negative, which is over here by the 5. So that's negative 2. Okay, we got 4 plus minus 10. Well, that's a simple one. We're using rule number 2. We subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. What do we get? We're going to get minus 6. Okay, here we go. Minus 9, subtract a positive 3. So basically what this is actually looks like, okay, is like that. Okay? Now, let's look at this one as an addition. Okay? Probably be a little bit easier to see. I bring down my minus 9. I change my subtraction symbol to a positive. And then I'm going to change my positive 3 to a negative 3. Well, look, now we have an addition problem. Let's go back up to rule number 1. If you have in numbers and you add them together, they have the same sign, just add them together and bring the sign down. So in this case, we add 9 and 3, we get 12. There's our negative, they're alike, so I'll put a negative 12. So there, when you see like minus 9, minus 3, you're going to add them and you just bring the sign down. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. So when you see the next video in the adding and the, because we're going to be doing adding and subtraction of these numbers when we're multiplying and dividing the numbers in engineering notation. So this way it should be a little bit easier for you to understand when that video comes out. So you guys take care and we'll see you in the next one.